go. Oh, I forgot the time was off. Not even 6 yet. Oop. Echo. Ready. Other than the echo, I think we're ready. Okay, it is 6 p.m. I call this meeting of the San Benito County Planning Commission to order. If we could please read the temporary procedures for the meetings, please.
The San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes your comments. Each individual speaker will be limited to a presentation total of 3 minutes. When addressing the commission via Zoom, phone, or in chambers, please state your name and county in which you reside for the record. Please address the commission as a whole through the chair. If participating on Zoom, select the Participants tab and click the Raise Hand icon. If you are using a phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. When your turn arrives, you will hear that you have been unmuted. If participating in the chamber, please complete a speaker card, identifying the item on which you wish to speak, and provide your completed card to the clerk prior to consideration of the item. Speaker cards are available and on the table at the entrance.
Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Scaliotti, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could get a roll call, please.
Commissioners are present and in the chambers.
Well, one is yet to be sworn in, but we'll get there. Thank you.
Shall I just go forward with the introduction, expecting swearing in a few moments, or how should I proceed with that, Mr. Ellenwood?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Is this department announcements?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Which
Thank you.
is a good segue into introducing our newest commissioner, Rich Way, commissioner representing the District 2, I believe it is. Thank you. Rich has been a resident of Aromas in District 2 of San Benito for close to 40 years, is married and has 2 adult stepdaughters and families and an adult son. He's been active in the Aromas Grange, other community organization, and also was a local Cub master. Presently, you work in security aspects of computer and technology firms, and basically grew up back east and went to college in New York and moved out here for the jobs and climate. Is there anything you'd like to say to introduce yourself as we get going here? At the end of the meeting, we can speak about maybe your adventures up north this weekend.
Nothing specific that you haven't already covered, just...
There's a button, I think, on your mic.
There's a button on
There's
this.
a button?
The green button.
Yeah, nothing specific that hasn't already been covered, just that I'm excited to join this august group and looking forward to see what this is all about and contribute in any way that I can.
Oh, fantastic, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Chair.
That was that was the end of the department announcements.
That was the announcement. Yes,
Wonderful,
thank you.
wonderful. Any public comment? This is for items that are under the purview of the Planning Commission, but not on the agenda tonight. Is there any comment via Zoom?
No public comment. Zoom.
Any public comment in the chambers? Seen on any item not on the agenda? If it's on the agenda, you can fill out a speaker card and speak at that time. Okay, so no public comment. Public comment is closed. Consent agenda. Acknowledgement of certificate of posting, acknowledgement of public hearing, adoption of the action minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, what is the wish of the commission? Adopt the consent agenda? Fantastic. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Let the record show the vote was 4-0. Mr. Richway had not yet been sat or participating in that meeting, nor did he make a recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Regular agenda, item 5. Because I live across the street, I will recuse myself, and if you would step up as the chair.
Yep.
Thank you.
Should we do it? Should we interrupt?
Yes.
You took note on the change
With
of
chair's
chair.
permission, we have somebody that can go ahead and swear in our new commissioner so that he can participate.
Yep, perfect.
Excellent, thank you.
I move that we take a brief.
Let me introduce to you the Assistant County Clerk, Recorder, Auditor, Jack of all trades, Francisco Diaz. And so, Mr. Way, if you will stand, and Francisco will administer the oath. Raise your right hand, please.
Okay, and you don't have to repeat after me, but I do need you to say I, then your name.
I, Rich Way,
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
I do.
One more paragraph. It's not on yours version, but
Which part?
here.
And I do further swear and affirm that I do not advocate, nor am I a member of the party, organization, political or otherwise, that now advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or the state of California by force or violence or other unlawful means, that within the 5 years immediately preceding the taking of this oath or affirmation, I have not been a member of any party or organization, political or otherwise, that advocated the overthrow of the government of the United States or the state of California by force or violence or other unlawful means, except as follows. Did I read the next part?
Yep.
If no affiliations, write the words no exceptions. And that during such time as I hold the office of
Planning Commissioner.
County Commissioner, I will not advocate nor become a member of a party, organization, political or otherwise, that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of the state of California by force or violence or other unlawful means.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we can hand some.
Yeah.
Can I borrow a pen?
Yes, of course. Update the form.
Done.
That may be for, I don't know, a different office. Who knows?
The optic thing that's taking place at 10 a.m. on Friday, and as presentation.
For everyone's information and edification, the oath that was just administered appears in the California Constitution, Article 20, Section 3.
Council Ellenwood?
I have a question. How long has that second part been part of the swearing in? The second part of that swearing in you just did for?
I can't tell you when it was adopted, but there is case law.
That's not the question I asked you. The question I asked you was how long the County of San Benito enacted that second part? Because I don't remember doing that when I was.
You may not have. and that may have been an oversight.
Okay, just asked.
Mr. Scagliotti, I believe that that language was added as a part of the Smith Act of 1950, but that's of the federal government, so I don't necessarily know how that applies to the county or municipal.
That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move forward now with the regular agenda. Item 5, architectural review for the promontory at Ridgemark.
Thank you. Good evening. Tavin Kinnison Brown, representing the Planning Department for this architectural review for the promontory development at Ridgemark. Up until the Planning Commission hearing in 2018, it was known as the Bluffs project at Ridgemark, so one and the same. So the structure of this review this evening is we'll share the location and context of the project, a little background, the architectural review criteria, which will feel new to the commission because largely you've had subdivisions and use permits, and I don't believe we've gone to design review before, and so this will be new. And in that, we'll discuss the building elevations, materials, and colors of the homes proposed, and fixtures and window treatments. We'll share how the environmental review, the CEQA evaluation, was conducted several years ago and how it is relevant today, and staff's findings, and we'll ask for a recommendation to the Planning Commission. And so this is a location and a vicinity map context, and our subject parcel is right here with this star on it. And it appears, it's basically in that south central notched area that once it's developed, it's going to look like, just part of Ridgemark, but right now it's kind of that undeveloped disk land that's the square remaining to be developed. I've given this slide right here to share that this is the context of where really a lot of housing development is happening. So let's get the spines of the roadways here. So following my cursor in this manner right here, this is Highway 25, right there on the north side of Ridgemark. And we have the two gates. We've got the main gate right here next to the golf and the sports club and the main gate. And then here on the east and southern side is the second gate to Ridgemark. And there's a service gate that's not used about in the middle. The other road for orientation, is follow my cursor here, is Southside Road, which splits these subdivisions, comes down and around the project. And then right here at the base of the project, it was known as the Bluffs. There's a bluff that goes up. And the developed area that was approved is a bench on the top of that bluff. So this pink area is, in white, is a proposed project that's coming and in process right now for 190 new residential plus 38 affordable housing units, and some the redevelopment of the commercial areas to Ridgemark. That's coming. But let's go to these darker numbers. Highlight cursor with the control. I don't know how to.
I'm sorry, Tavin, we couldn't see the cursor.
Okay. Control and drag. Sounds like a party I went to. Oh, sorry. Can you see it now? Okay.
Much better, thank you.
So this 200 is the Brigantino subdivision / Southside Estates subdivision, and there's a little 10 unit in the corner known as the Bray subdivision. You wouldn't know the difference on those. Across the street, control and drag, is the Bennett Ranch subdivision with 84 units. The 24 right here represents Riverview 2, an affordable housing project that's under construction right now. And it's adjacent to this area right here, which was just known as Riverview. It was a 100% affordable housing project in that the residents are they're providing the labor for each other to build their house and save the money in that manner. This project right here is 156 unit, one of the more recent approvals. It goes by so many names: Intravia, Lico, Greco, Vista del Calabria, but that represents these 156 units that takes access off of Enterprise Road as well as a connector to this existing neighborhood. at the corner of Fairview, which is also pretty close to, that is actually the city and the county dividing line, mainly on Fairview here. But this project right here was approved already with a specific plan, Fairview Corners. And that's going to share a common access road right here with the eventual campus of Gavilan College building another campus right here. So this is where homes are just about finished, 84 and 200 and maybe these 10. 24 are getting underway. They've yet to break ground here, but this project right here, the project site, a little more specific, I'm sorry, advancing slides, was approved. Well, let's just go 2 sites. In April 2nd, it was approved by the Planning Commission in 2 resolutions, one for the CEQA document and one for the conditions of approval. And there was and through filling in this space here, here's the lotting pattern that was approved with that tentative map. What you can see right here is this no build area, which is these slopes upward from Southside Road as it climbs to the bluff. And what's interesting just to point out here is there's another setback line. So in other words, control, there we go. So this is a setback for a property line, but there's also a setback for a building construction line that the houses along this have to stay between the red line and the road here just for the erosive characteristics or the protection from the slope. Also notable here, I spoke about the 2 entrances that are at Ridgemark right here on the north or the center, and then here on the east is this subdivision proposed right here has a new extension, an exit if you would, but you'll also be able to go in with a new gate to Southside Road. But this is all what's been approved already in the recent subdivision and not part of the context today. The context today was a mitigation measure that shared potential concerns about light and glare and something shiny on the hill, or some design concerns that something would be inconsistent with the character of San Benito and South County. And so there was a requirement in a mitigation measure in the environmental to have an architectural review come back to your committee, to your commission for your review. And the little more details on that was that the plans should include all the building elevations, materials, colors, textures, light fixtures, and shall satisfy the following. That natural building materials and colors compatible with the terrain are used, earth tones, non-reflective paints, including the treatment on the fences and walls. And also it was a concern that if there was high contrast colors such as very dark on white and everything, that was going to stand out, that those should be avoided. Additionally, that they didn't want the roof vents to stick out, and that those should be earth tone shade and blend into the roof surface. And also this addressing the reflective glass, materials and colors and structures be selected with minimizing glare, and the building windows, etc. So that's what we have right here, and that's the criteria to hold against the designs in front of you this evening. As you just know, living here, we're not a community like Santa Barbara, where you have to come in with the Spanish tile and the white stucco paint, or City of Carmel, or some other community that's got a real refined architectural context to fit in with. But this is pretty good context here. This is earth tones and have it blend in. So the evaluation, or what's offered today by Century Communities, and they've got an architectural firm, KTGY, is they've offered basically 3 architectural designs: farmhouse, European cottage, and Spanish design. And basically these are going to be dressings on 4 basic floor plans. So 4 houses that if it was just a box, it would look the same, but they're going to dress them up with the different architectural styles. And what's offered are 4 different color schemes for each one of those styles. And, some models, might be a reverse pattern or something, but basically 4 floor plans. And so in the farmhouse design here, they've offered what they call cementitious boards and batten siding, stucco exterior finish, also flat concrete tile, gabled roof forms, surround trim and gabled details, and the 4 colored schemes. And in your packet today, and also if you need to share, are the 4 different paint palettes that could be there. I didn't think it would be conducive to go into each one of those for every design today, but if there's questions or you have details and want to see those, we can. The next architectural design is the Spanish design. And this design includes exterior stucco finish, some 2-inch base furring. It's what's called villa-shaped concrete tile, so that's I used to call it potato chips, the wavy tiles. Gently pitched roofs, it's got shutters and gable details, and this too has 4 color schemes offered to be consistent with that architectural review criteria that we had on the earlier slides. The third dressing for these exteriors is called European Country, and this one has stucco exterior finish. And this is the first time the models include a stone veneer, and you can kind of see that base rock kind of gives a good anchor foundation. So there's different styles of stone veneer with the European Country style. There's also gabled roof forms, shutters, and details, and 4 colors. So, might have been a little short in your package, but the staff report also gave a description of some of the lighting here. And of course, the lighting in the counties, we have the dark skies. You don't want them just shining to the universe, but you need security where you want security. You want a nice architectural look to it, but not something that's blinding to you. And so there's three types of lighting that have been offered here for the outdoor lighting fixtures types. And just going to windows for a moment, the Alpine window selection, single hung versions versus this multi-pane look, and it seems to be a good quality vinyl window. And also what's in the brochure, if it wasn't included in your packet, is that there's kind of a anti-reflectivity application to it, as well as some good insulation for keeping heat and saving money in that way. And lastly, to really look at here, but not really part of the architectural design, are the fence types that are to be used at the project site. And so this colored map looks quite complicated, but let me just look at it briefly. So the green exterior here, the one that if you're on Southside Road looking up and you saw the bluffs, you're probably not even going to see the fence there, but should you see the fence, the style of the green line here is an open tubular steel fence. So you'll be able to see through it. It's not a hard wall type of look. It's going to have a lot of visual openness to it. There's some utility fencing, one for this detention basin and another for this water well site. And the water well site is going to have the visual slats in it, so you don't look in and just see the equipment all the time. The detention basin will be open chain link, so you'll be able to see in on that one. And then what I like here is the orange line here, which is a high 2-rail concrete fence. If you're in the country, you've seen split rail fences. And I've got some of the designs are in your packet, and we can look at them if you need. But basically, concrete post and split rails. It looks like an old split rail fence. Won't hold your dog in, but looks nice. And then these other brown lines here are what's expected would be the property and privacy fences between houses at 6 feet. And so your staff report included details on those. So just briefly, the environmental review for this project was conducted in the lead up to the decision in 2018. through a full environmental impact report. The reason we're here today is there had been concerns about architecture and the community wanting a second look at it before they just built it. You know, bring the design back to the Planning Commission so we can see that the glares are reduced or there's earth tones and that it's going to fit in. So that's to you today. And I won't go into each of those if you've read the staff report, but that's the basic tenet of those mitigation measures held against the earth tones and the architectural criteria up front. So the action today is not as strong as we would do for a use permit or a subdivision review where I've got recitals and a very strong resolution of approval. But we do ask you to deliberate, hear from the applicant, and have questions. But staff is recommending that staff finds that these designs and the color schemes are consistent with the criteria of the mitigation measure. And we recommend that the Planning Commission determine that as well and make a criteria that it satisfies the aesthetic mitigation measure. So with that, I can take questions, or you may want to just wish to hear from Tally Robinson, who represents Century Homes, if you wanted to have questions about architectural design. That concludes my
Commissioners?
presentation.
Any questions?
I'll have some questions for Mr. Tally Hall.
Do you have a presentation? Or no? No.
Hello, thank you all for allowing us to come before you tonight. We're just super excited about it. And thank you, Tavin and Robin, we appreciate all your help together. I'm the senior project manager
online.
for Century Homes. I also have online my manager, Dean Mills, who, okay, probably threw my mouth at her. Dean Mills, who is our VP of Land Planning and Forward Planning. And then Jill is here from KTGY. She's their president. Also on Zoom is Jeff Nabnett. He's a director for Century Communities. So again, we're really excited to be here. We've worked really closely with the HOA at Ridgemark. They have an architectural review committee that we had to go before with our plans. They were very kind to us. They liked what we were showing. They're excited to have us join them, as we are excited to be part of Ridgemark. So I am here if you have any questions for me. If you have technical questions about the colors or the architecture, then Jill can probably answer that.
Thank you. Commissioner Pack?
Yes, my questions, I guess they're going to go to Jill. Just between the three styles, in terms of energy emissions or energy retention, are there any particular advantages to one style over another? And in a similar question, in regards to extreme heat events or heat waves, is there one design that offers any particular advantages or strengths over another in terms of the three aesthetics presented?
We don't believe that there is any difference, and as we hopefully make our way forward with the construction documents and working with the entire team, obviously each house would be studied for its compliance with all of those items. And so we think the variety is really nice to have, and that it certainly doesn't hinder our ability to meet code and all the requirements that Title 24 has for us. So,
Okay, very good.
Any other questions from the commissioners? No. Any public comment via Zoom?
No public comment via Zoom.
Any public comment in the chambers? We'll see none. I'll move to the wishes of the commission.
Well, I'll just, to kind of start the discussion, I'll offer the insight that to a certain degree, I see, comments in regards to each of the three styles. The farmhouse style is the style that is most in conformity to to the majority of residential buildings that we already have existing in Hollister and San Benito County, and is closest kind of the traditional aesthetics. That being said, at the same time, the Spanish style is sort of more an aesthetic, or it kind of brings us into conformity with modernizing California, by which I mean a lot of other communities. And likewise, the European country style is a style that to me is evocative of communities such as Lafayette and Orinda and Palo Alto. So some of the more well-to-do communities of the Bay Area have adopted such an aesthetic. So that's just sort of my conversation starter on the three aesthetics. So.
All right, thank you. Any other comments?
No, good.
Anyone like to give a motion?
So it's just approving
The architectural.
the and all three styles, not necessarily choosing between one particular
Correct.
style. So, all right. Well, let's see.
Yes, they're here as a slate, as a whole slate.
I vote that we approve it.
I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Okay, the next item. Item number 6, public hearing for the Villa Stony Farms cannabis cultivation use permit.
Yes, good evening. Michael Kelly, Associate Planner, and I am here to talk about this project at 1180 Riverside Road and the current status of this project, which is, well, what I will ask is for the Planning Commission to continue this item to the meeting of December 15th. The project right now has gone through the environmental review, has gone through the initial study and comment period for the environmental review, and has some substantial comments that we feel need more addressing than what we could do in preparation for this meeting. We feel that what's needed is for the comments that were made, for us to respond to those comments in a revised initial study document, and for us to republish that document in response to what was said. Now, this project has gone through a lot of process so far, which is to say it's gone through the Cannabis Business Regulatory Program to check out the basic compliance with zoning and various standards or more or less licensing requirements that are in our county code. And it made it through that program and went to the stage of the use permit through our office. And we reviewed it and expected the applicant to provide much that's spelled out in the ordinance on what needs to be submitted, and including details of how the business will operate, substantial details on matters like security and environmental matters, and so we prepared an initial study to consider this project, and it included mitigations to mitigate possibly significant effects to level less than significant. And then when it was circulated in September and October, we received 2 comments, and they were substantial comments. One was from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which asked for more mitigation for wildlife habitat to avoid and mitigate impact to the wildlife. And that was, we're working with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service right now to come up with better mitigation that addresses that. But the more substantial comment is from the Department of Cannabis Control, state agency that regulates cannabis business. and which was multiple agencies until somewhat recently, and now it's consolidated into this one agency. They wrote us a letter asking for more analysis, more detail in various parts. The other comment from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was focused on one section, but this one was not focused on any one section, but went into a lot of sections that basically asked for more detail, more analysis. We do believe that the document as it was expressed that there would not be significant impact, but wasn't with enough, perhaps enough qualification according to what the regulators from the state on cannabis would have liked. And when we make these revisions, it should help the regulation of the business if it's approved, both at the state level and also by county staff. So it would be constructive to go through this process of revising the initial study and circulating it again in November, early December, and bringing it back to the commission in December to back up the decision better than perhaps the current document can. And so in addition to that, I have left a letter on your desk that is separate from the CEQA matter, but it's a public comment on the project for the purpose of this meeting tonight. It talks about concerns on what might occur with regard to crime, citing data that I believe is talking about hemp operations, which are different from this kind of a business, because it's a different kind of a activity, growing hemp from growing cannabis. Fewer expectations involving security and such, and also simple fact that we in the unincorporated county actually don't have cannabis businesses under use permits like this. This is the first use permit since the Cannabis Business Regulatory Program to come before the Planning Commission and be on an agenda. So there wouldn't be other businesses from which to cite such data. So I felt the need to mention that. So in conclusion, basically, we would request that the Planning Commission continue this item to the December 15th meeting.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Questions if you have any.
I think it's fantastic that the state put out a list of what they want to see for the next time. I think that's great. I'm happy that they finally came to a conclusion that they wanted certain information. Any comments from the commissioners?
None right now.
Seeing none, is there any public comment via Zoom?
No public comment via Zoom.
Public comment in the chambers? Yes, sir.
Mike Pavetti.
Good evening. So I know I only have 3 minutes here. I'll keep it short. I reside at 1090 Riverside Road, which is 2 parcels south of the proposed project. I have no opposition to the project. Welcome the new neighbor to the area. My opposition is, and I hope you guys take under advisement, I know there's a lot of environmental studies going on, but the main one that I see as a big issue is the road impact. Getting in and out of Riverside Road is a nightmare anymore. And at my driveway at 1090, it necks down to 1 lane, and it's on a blind turn to get up to the property that's being proposed. It would be extremely dangerous to add traffic, especially in a commercial setting to that. So I just want the board to recognize and take under advisement the impact, the road impact, especially with the high school being closed the way it is now. It forces a lot of new traffic down Nash and across Riverside, and that road is chopped up and beat up so bad. It's terrible. 1. Number 2, I was happy to hear that crime is being looked at. we've had at least 7 incidences on our place where the homeless community has come onto our property and been a victim of theft. Thousands of dollars worth of stuff has been stolen off our place. The last time we had an incident, I had a homeless man in my garage that I ended up detaining myself. It took 52 minutes to have a deputy respond from the 911 call because there was 2 deputies in this county going on that night, and they were at different calls and aromas and everything. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but 52 minutes for a resident to, basically subdue a person that's trespassing on your property. Whether that adds crime or not, the potential's there with the situation that's there. So those are the 2 things that I would like to ask you guys to take under advisement.
Thank you.
You.
Any other public comment in the gallery? Please come up to the podium.
Allison Walter.
Good evening. I am one of the partners at 991 Riverside. It's our family investment property. We're right across from Mr. Pavetti. We have very similar concerns. One, the road issue. We did just install cameras on our property because of issues we already have. We do feel that this could potentially attract more issue. And if it's already an issue prior, that's a definite concern. My children live at the property. I'm not communication that he mentioned was put on your desk. I believe I was going to read the letter from our other partner, who was my stepmother, Miss Valerie Felice. And I don't know if you can tell me if that's a letter. I will refrain from reading it again if they've already had that pass forward.
That is the letter.
Yes, we have it.
It is the letter
Okay.
from.
So I just wanted to make sure our concerns were stated.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I will comment the concerns about law enforcement issues. Part of the discussion when we tabled this item, the last time we tabled it for 30 days, was to allow the board to talk with the sheriff because I didn't want to approve anything with leave the sheriff in the dust. And part of the discussion was that if this does go forward, they will provide more deputies just for this purpose. Okay. Any other comments from the commissioners? Is there any more public comment? No. Okay, public comment's closed. Back to the commission. Is anybody going to make a motion to continue until the December meeting?
Well, in light of the requests by the Department of Fish and Wildlife and by the Cannabis Control Commission, I move that we give this item a continuance until our December meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. That gets us to commissioner announcements. Anyone have any news to share?
I do. So I just returned from the California County Planning Commissioners Association conference up in Eureka over the weekend. And if you have a few moments, I'd like to go through a little bit of the agenda and what I learned. I won't go into a great amount of detail, but at least you can get the flavor of some of the sessions that I attended, and maybe I can give you some more detail if anybody wants it. Okay, here it is. So it was a great use of my time, I think. And in any event, let's see. We had John Ford, who's the Director of Planning and Building up in Humboldt County, who Tavin knows well from another life, I think. And he spoke about the unique and not so unique issues facing Humboldt County and its cannabis regulation, and in particular also with regard to housing issues up there. Nicole Elliott, interestingly, was present, physically present, and gave a talk. And she is, as I think you all know, the director of the State of California Department of Cannabis Control, which is the organization that was created by the 3 departments merging. I believe it was a fish and wildlife, food and agriculture, and the Cal Cannabis organization all merged into this one new organization, which is now, I think, between 60 and 90 days old. So She talked about merging those departments and also about what's required to receive a permit, either a provisional, which are being phased out, or an annual permit. And a lot of that spoke directly to the issues that we saw raised in the comment that Mr. Kelly was referring to that we received from the Department of Cannabis Control. So that was interesting. There was also a panel on cannabis with John Ford, Nicole Elliott, and Rebecca Garwood from the Coastal Habitat Conservation Program. Also Scott Davies, who's a cannabis business owner and also a member of the Arcata Planning Commission, and Thomas Mulder, who's a cannabis business owner and Humboldt County Planning Commissioner. It's interesting that in those counties up north there, a lot of the planning commissioners, I shouldn't say a lot, some of the planning commissioners are in fact associated with the cannabis industry. Maybe not too surprising. Talked about effective mitigation of CEQA issues, a housing panel in the afternoon with one of the local major builders, toured one of his developments, talked about affordable housing and particular issues that they're having up there in building it and getting people accommodated. And then on, I'm kind of rambling. I'm gonna keep this shorter. On Sunday, there was a field trip. We went to a cannabis innovation zone in Arcata, where they've tried to keep all of the cannabis stuff together in one place to minimize the environmental impact and also to minimize things like, neighbors complaining, because you minimize the number of neighbors, you minimize the number of people who might have objections. We toured the Samoa Peninsula. We visited another affordable housing unit, and I guess that's about all I should really go into at this point. But please hit me up if you have additional questions or you want more information about any one of those particular sessions.
Fantastic. Thank you for the report, and welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Commissioner Scaliotti.
I have a couple of questions for staff. You guys are showing us, can I ask these questions now, or we're good? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
When I was looking up there, Tavern, I seen there was a bunch of new county projects coming for homes. Are you asking these people where they're going to get the water, since we're going into the middle of an extreme drought? Has anybody thought about asking these guys to dig some wells for our community? I'm just wondering. I counted 300 new homes that are coming on the other side of Fairview Road, which is a completely dry area. There is no water out there except for the San Felipe project, which is right now shut off to the county of San Benito completely because there's no water. Are you guys asking these guys where they're going to get some water for these homes? When they bring this to you, I want to know where they're going to get the water before you even tell them that they can have the project. Because this drought is not over with.
Both of the projects that are yet to be reviewed, that were in the white letters, would be served by the Sunny Slope County Water District, which has offered a can and will serve promise letter for providing water.
Have you asked them to dig a new well? Because I know for a fact that the city of Hollister and Sunny Slope Water District lost one well. They did not have the water from San Felipe, and they lost 3 feet of volume water in the 2 tanks on top of Park Hill in 48 hours.
Wow.
So you guys need to sit down with these developers when they come to town and ask them, where's the water going to come from? Or ask Sunny Slope Water District, are you going to dig us a new well? You got to start asking these questions before you approve any more houses. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Great points of discussion.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments or questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. 5-0. Thank you all.